Hello everyone, this is the story of the death of Catiline by Sallust. This is passage 35 of our books. Okay, take a look at this translation, pause it. I'm looking right now and I can see that the predictive typing has changed veterani to veteran, so there might be a few of those, but I think for the most part they're sorted afterwards when I go through it sentence by sentence. This first sentence then. Maximo clamore cum infestis signis concurrunt, pila omitunt, gladis res geritor veterani, pristinae virtutis memores, communis acriter instare. So, with a maximo superlative, with a very great crash, it's a superlative, with a very great crash, they concurrunt, they came together, infestis signis. Signis in this context I think is best as an attack, with fierce attacks. Pila omitunt, pila here, accusative, neuter, plural. They threw to the side their pila, their javelins. Res and matters were settled, gladis, with swords. The veterani, the veterans, memores, mindful of their former virtue. Communis acriter instare. Instare here, as the other infinitives are historic infinitives in this passage. So, the veterans, mindful of their former courage, communis acriter instare, fought fiercely, instare acriter, fought fiercely, communis, literally in close combat, hand to hand. Illi haud timidi resistunt, maxima vi certator. Illi, they did not resist timidly. An example of litotes that we have here, that sort of Roman idea of understatement. They did not resist timidly. Certator, it was fought, maxima, superlative again, with the greatest strength, or I've said with the greatest fury or frenzy, with the greatest frenzy. Interea Catilina cum expeditis in prima acie versari, laborantibus succurrere omnia providere, multum ipse pugnare, saepe hostem ferere. Meanwhile, Catiline was engaged with the expeditis, with his lightly armed troops in prima acie, in the first row. Laborantibus succurrere. He brought help, laborantibus, literally to those working, but working doesn't sound good, so he brought help, laborantibus. I originally said to those in need, but I've changed it to really make it clear that I understand the present participle form of laborantibus, to those needing it. He succurrere, he brought help to those needing it. Providere omnia, he attended to everything. Ipse, he himself did much of the fighting, multum pugnare, he himself fought much. Saepe ferere, another historic infinitive, he often wounded the enemy. Strenui militis et boni imperatoris officia simul exequebator. So simul, at the same time, he was performing exequebator, and this should be officia rather than official. He was performing the officia, the duties of a strenui. So officia, he was performing the duties of a strong soldier and of a boni imperatoris, and of a good leader. Petreus ubi videt Catilinam contra acratus erat magna vi tendere, cohortem praetoriam in medios hostes inducit, eosque perturbatos atque aleos resistentes interfecit. Petreus, that's just my dog Fritzy barking, Petreus ubi videt Catilinam, when he saw that Catilina, or Catiline I've called him, contra ac ratus erat, contrary to what he had expected, was tendere. So it's when he saw, saying and thinking here, or seeing, when he realized that Catilina was tendere, was attacking him with magna vi, with great strength. So it's actually infinitive here because it's indirect statement. When he saw that Catiline was attacking him with great strength, he inducit, he led the praetorian cohort in medios hostes, into the middle of the enemy, and you could say that he interfecit, he killed them having routed them, or he killed them having been routed and the others resisting, but that doesn't sound very good. So I've changed it from perfect passive participle, flipping it around to actually make it active. And having routed them, and he routed them rather, and he killed the others resistentes, present participle, resisting. deinde ex lateribus ceteros aggreditor. Then he attacked the ceteros, the remainder, ex lateribus, on each side, on their sides, from their sides. Catilina postquam fusas copias seque cum paucis relictum videt, memor generis, atque pristina sua dignitatis in confertissimos, hostes incurrit ibique pugnans confodatur. Catiline, after he videt, he saw that his copias, that his troops, fusas, had been demolished, had been routed, and that say that he himself was relictum, was left cum paucis with only a few men, memor, mindful of his birth, atque, and of his pristinae dignitatis, genitive, and of his former dignity, he incurrit. Remember, go for your verb, find your verb, then find your subject and your object. He plunged himself in confertissimos, into the deepest enemy, into the thickest of the enemy, and ibi, and there, confodatur, he died pugnans, while fighting. Catiline, this man that made this attempt on Rome, this, I suppose you could say, great act of terrorism against Rome that Cicero was so proud of having stopped, this was the end. This is obviously Sallust's version of it, where Catiline, despite being an absolutely horrific man, achieves, I suppose, some sort of redemption through his courage and the loyalty that he managed to get from his troops and from his men, even though he was an appalling man. Anyway, we'll talk about that at another time. Well done with your translation.